So many of our girls aren't lazy or unmotivated. They're overwhelmed. Their brains are trying to protect them from failure by convincing them to stay stuck. It's not attitude, it's not behaviour, it's survival mode. And we need to talk about it. Hiya, and welcome back to the Teen Whisperer, the podcast for mums of daughters aged 9 to 25 who are trying their best to figure out this whole, teenager thing without completely losing the plot. I'm Rach Friedley and I help mum just like you build stronger, more connected relationships with your daughters by understanding what's really going on beneath all those eye rolls, slam doors and those screaming in your face moments. We've all been there. Oh yeah, I'm also a mum. So 100% I get it. That emotional whiplash is real. And today we're going to talk about a biggie. And yes, I know this. I know I say this every single episode. But it's a biggie because we don't talk about it. Nobody talks about it. We'll hide it under the carpet and pretend it's not happening. But it's something I see all the time. There's a weird mix of procrastination, perfectionism and fear of failure that's showing up in our girls just when they're supposed to be stepping into something new. Whether it's leaving school, whether it's applying for a job and starting it, whether it's heading to college or uni, these moments that should feel exciting and invigorating can actually feel paralysing for your daughter. And it's not because they're lazy, as we're told time and time again. It's not because they just don't care. It is because they are overwhelmed. They're stuck in that weird space where their comfort zone is actually so uncomfortable, but stepping out of it feels even scarier. So let's take a deep dive today into what's happening in their bodies, their brains, and how we can support them through this without pushing, nagging, or watching them shrink into that ever-consuming fear. So let's start with a bit we often forget when we're trying to reason with our daughters. The nervous system always speaks first, and this is what I'm known for. You see, when your daughter is procrastinating or perfectionism is taking over, it's usually her body saying, whoa, 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 that constant alarm system is going off. This feels way too risky. Her system is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, even if that threat is just sending an email or filling out an application form. And let's not forget that dopamine, the motivation and reward chemical. If she's endlessly scrolling TikTok or binge watching shows instead of making a decision, she's probably using that instant hit of dopamine to soothe the discomfort. But I'm just going to add this now. That hit of dopamine is short-lived. So she needs to scroll more and more and more and more and more to get that hit of dopamine again. And that's what TikTok and all the social media platforms are built on. If that's not bad enough, combine that with disrupted sleep, too much sugar, too much caffeine, not enough daylight, and she's stuck in a loop where action feels like a threat and doing nothing feels like safety, even if it's making her miserable and she's stuck inside on a gloriously sunny day. So here's a quick calming tip for you both right now in this moment. Get outside barefoot, even just for 5 minutes. It helps regulate cortisol. It resets the nervous system and reconnects her to the moment right now. It's not woo-woo, it's science. Grounding literally changes brainwave activity and supports that emotional regulation. And before you go, I can't even get her out of her bed. Trust me, I get it 100%. If you can't get her out of bed, just open the curtains. Even I'm just measuring it with my fingers. 4 centimetres width of light coming in through that window allows her to start getting her vitamin D and regulate with her circadian rhythm. And whilst you're there, try and get those phones down, especially if you're outside. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. But hey, research shows that doom scrolling and constant social comparison spikes cortisol and increases that anxiety. Just 30 minutes of screen-free nature time a day can reduce stress markers significantly and increase focus and creativity. So as I say, if you're getting your daughter out of her bed is hard enough, try introducing her to something new. So, we're going to go out and look at this, or we're going to go out for a car drive. Do you fancy coming with me? It gets that out of the house. So if her body is trying to say, I'm not ready, let's look at what her words and actions are really telling us. So here's where it gets really interesting. Your daughter might not say she's scared. Instead, she might say, I don't care. It's fine the way it is. Or she might completely shut down and refuse to engage and hide in her room. But under the surface, she might be thinking, what if I try and then I fail? What if people think I'm stupid? What if this is worse than what I've got now? Or like my daughter, who was just turned down for an apprenticeship, is saying to me and everyone else around her, I've tried this 3 times and it hasn't worked. Who's going to want me? This is what I call the uncomfortable comfort zone. It's not ideal, but it's familiar to her brain. And the teenage brain loves familiar. It's wired for safety, not risk, especially in the teenage years when the amygdala, the fear center, is on overdrive, and the prefrontal cortex, the logical part, the part that regulates the emotions, that regulates organization, safety, is still wiring up. So instead of pushing her to make those big leaps, try inviting her into small, safe micro shifts. What's one tiny weeny thing you could do this week? For example, I've currently got, for my daughter, I'm saying to her, make one decision a day. Whether that decision is teeny tiny, i.e. get out of bed, make what do you want for your lunch, allow her to make that choice for what she wants, whether she wants to go outside, whether she wants to stay inside. Make them tiny, weeny decisions. Or they could be a biggie. It's up to how she's feeling in that day. And then say to her, what's just the next step, not the whole staircase. So look at what she wants to do and break it down into teeny, tiny, weeny steps. And most importantly, let her talk. Even if it comes out messy, it does not matter. Thinking becomes clearer when it's spoken out loud. When it is regurgitating round and round and round in her head, it doesn't become something solid. It just becomes that thing that's going around in her head. Be her sounding board, not her fixer. And now for the bit we don't talk about enough. Play. Yes, even now when she's a teenager. Even now when she's a young adult. Because we often think of play as something kids do, but actually play is how the nervous system resets. It helps regulate emotion, reduce stress hormones and build confidence. And it still matters for your teen. It still matters for you as well as a mum. Why? Because the female brain is designed for connection, creativity and context. When she feels overwhelmed, playful activities like doodling, dancing, making something, or just being silly switch her nervous system back into regulation and balance. Play helps her nervous system shift from freeze or flight into flow. It gives her a chance to reconnect with joy, which is massively undervalued when everything else feels serious and urgent, and apparently in the adult world, and that's what we do. Anyway, but what if she's already spiraling, already in that panic or shut down? This is where we bring in a simple breathwork reset. No apps, no timers, no sitting funny, no holding your hands in a strange position, no equipment. Just this. Ask her to place one hand on her belly. Then gently guide her to breathe in and notice her belly rise. So breathing in through her nose. Breathe out, feel it fall. That is it. Why it works? The brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So if she's noticing her belly, she can't keep spiraling at the same time. Even better, that kind of deep belly breathing engages the vagus nerve, which sends the message to the brain that she's safe. It switches off that fight or flight and moves her towards calm. This is your secret tool. It works in a minute or two, and the more she does it, the more her body learns to calm itself. So as I say, hand on the belly, breathe in and notice her belly rise, or your belly rise, and then breathe out through your mouth. So breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And do this for as long as is needed to enhance that calm. And do it for 1 to 3 minutes, ideally for 20, but 1 to 3 is a great starting place. And here's just a quick stat for context. Research shows that extended phone scrolling can increase cortisol levels by over 30% just from that constant stimulation. That's like drinking 3 espressos at once for the nervous system. So even putting the phone down whilst breathing gives her a double win. So yeah, do not have the phone beside her while she's breathing. So here's the heart of it, Mum. Your daughter's procrastination, perfectionism, even avoidance, they're not signs she's failing. They're signs her nervous system is overwhelmed and trying to protect her. What looks like not trying is actually a stress response. And your role, not to push harder, it's to co-regulate, to hold that space, to show her with your calm and your presence that she can breathe through this. So what's your mini challenge for this week? I'm so glad you asked. Next time she's spiralling, or even when she's not, guide her to place one hand on her belly and breathe. Just notice the rise and the fall. It's simple, it's grounding, and it's powerful. And if this episode resonated, please hit subscribe, leave a review and share it with a friend. It helps more mums find the support. Come and join us in our new Facebook community where we share tools, stories and a whole lot of real talk. Or head to my website, the 3Ws, theteenwhisperer.co.uk for resources, blogs and your free guide, WTF is going on, especially if you're in the thick of teen emotions right now. And come and follow me on Instagram at The Teen Whisperer. I'd love to hear what landed for you today. So thank you so much for joining me, and remember you're doing way better than you think. And I'll see you next week where we'll be talking about what's next to do on the podcast episodes. So yeah, you take care and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.